Welcome to We're Talking Bears,
where we bring you the latest in the Chicago Bears experience.
I'm Uncle,
Nephew,
and I'm Son.
And we're talking Bears.
Hello, Bears Nation. Welcome back to We're Talking Bears. We're so glad to have you guys checking us out, rocking with us through the offseason as we cover everything Bears related and try to bring you guys the latest in the Chicago Bears experience. Today, we've got a lot of stuff to cover. Obviously, the coaching hires have recently been completed. They had a press conference, finally had a press conference for the new offensive coordinator, Shane Waldron, and the new defensive coordinator, Eric Washington. We also have news on signings, or rather firings of two longtime Chicago Bears, Eddie Jackson and Cody Whitehair, no longer with the team. We've got recent Hall of Fame inductees, including Devin Hester, Julius Peppers, Mongo McMichael, oh yeah, there's that one thing with the quarterbacks going on. So yeah, we got a big show going on for y'all, and hope you rocking with us through the whole thing. So let's get started. So nephew, let's start off. Let's talk about these coaches, man. Let's talk about these coaches. Like, we got Shane Waldron up in the building. Shane Waldron was the offensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Nobody really thought he was going to be available. Obviously, this is a big story for the last couple of weeks. But Pete Carroll was let go by the Seahawks, so his whole kind of coaching staff became available, and the Bears were able to scoop him up, bring him in. Obviously, he turned Geno Smith's career around. He had Russell Wilson playing some of the best ball of his life. He was in the middle of the field like he really hadn't before. And that's, a lot of people read into that. A lot of people say, oh, he's going to come in and do something with Caleb. He's going to come in and resuscitate Justin's passing statistics or whatever that Luke Getsy really hadn't done none with. What do you think about this hiring, this kind of the first big offseason event for the Bears?
Well, I'll say this a couple things. First, I am excited about it. I don't want to get too happy too soon, and but I am excited about it because of the things that you said. Some of his history and some of his accomplishments and what he's been able to do. I do believe that he can be a value here in Chicago. Now, whether it pans out that way or not is still yet to be seen, of course. But I like it. And also, to me, what I think is, I think it's a good look either way. Now, I'm pro Justin Fields. I think we have a very solid quarterback here in Chicago already before entering this draft. But if they choose to go in the direction of Caleb, this guy seems like he should be good either way. You get what I'm saying? I think he should be able to bring something to our offense that we haven't been getting out of the quarterback position. I think it's a good thing for Justin, even though we can sit and say, it's not ideal for you to have to go through several offensive coordinators and those types of changes as a young quarterback. But I think we kind of we're stinking it up in some regards as far as that the offensive output from the offensive coordinator. So hopefully this is a turning point for us, and we have somebody in there that's able to really bring out the strengths of our guys. Like I said, be that Justin or whether we go a different direction this year and draft a quarterback. I'm excited about it. I think it should be a positive movement for us.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% with you. And one thing that Flus and Poles really drove home, both at the press conference where they announced Getsy's firing and at this most recent press conference, Flus talked before he let them on, and then Shane Waldron talked for quite a bit. One thing they both emphasized a whole lot was teaching, was being able to teach what you want the players to know, and not just having that knowledge for yourself, but being able to pass it on. And that's something that I feel like definitely was lacking from our offense. We often lack detail. Guys didn't know what their assignments were when the play broke down. Guys didn't know how to react. Guys were running wrong routes. Guys were having poor pass protection. from, just based on assignment based football. They were missing their assignments on the offensive line and in the backfield. So a lot of that I hope can be corrected with better teaching. And that's, I think, what polls and Flus are targeting with this hire with Shane Waldron. And I think he's the right guy for that, right? So obviously we talked about Geno Smith's success in the last few years, being a Pro Bowl level quarterback after being written off, and not writing back himself. So uh, that's definitely something that we think that Shane can bring. And uh man, it is really needed, right? So there were a lot of concerns what happened to Darnell Mooney. You know what I mean? He really fell off the last few years and his production wasn't there. He was struggling with his assignments, running wrong routes, running routes lazily sometimes, missing balls, not running through catches, like basic, very simple fundamental parts of football that we really haven't seen him fail at as a professional. And suddenly, that was something that became more regular, right? So and then also rookies like Tyler Scott and Velas Jones really struggled to find success in the last few years. And Waldron has been really successful with his wide receivers, especially. And that's one area that the Bears desperately need to improve, right? So he had DK Metcalf come in over the last few years and put in three of the best seasons of his young career, I should say, because he hasn't been in the league that long. Tyler Lockett has maintained an excellent level of production in a very like Darnell Mooney kind of role, right? So um, that's kind of a smaller, more agile, deep threat who he's got the hands and the route running to make things happen short. And then recently, Jackson Smith and Jigba comes in as a rookie this past year, a first round pick, very highly touted out of Ohio State, and put up, I think, something like 63 catches in his rookie year, which was probably very close to the Bears rookie record that I think Darnell Mooney himself might have set. So, or either it was him or Jeffrey. I'm not sure. I'll have to look, but it was definitely in that range, right? So I think Waldron can really make things happen. I think he's a really good teacher. So Eric Washington being the defensive coordinator, right? Um, Eric
Time out,
Washington.
time out. Don't move on yet. Time
Oh,
out.
okay, you was muted. I didn't know if you was ready
Oh,
to.
I was letting y'all talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, go ahead.
Now, on the other side, I literally saw an interview with JSN, and he was just chopping it up, and then they asked him about Shane Waldron, and he stopped and he's like, "Is this live?" And then he adjusted his answer. So he wasn't coming out. he stopped. He didn't want to answer the question live. He wanted to stop and think about his answer and word it properly. It didn't seem like a resounding seal of approval. Now I'm not saying he's run the Seattle offense. He ran that offense for 3 years. He's called the plays out there. They've been a middle of the road offense when you look statistically. The highest they've been is ninth in points, as far as the NFL is concerned.
That's pretty good. That's
I
above
mean,
the
that's not bad. Now, in passing,
top
that
10.
same year they were ninth in points. They were fourth overall in the NFL, which is enormous. But then last year, they fell all the way to 20th in the NFL in passing. So I don't know.
Well, Geno Smith was hurt for a good chunk of the year. I think they had one or two interior offensive linemen that were hurt. And then their running backs were in and out both with injury, Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. So they did have quite a lot of injury concerns.
Yeah.
And to my knowledge, right, what was happening there is Shane Waldron was adjusting to that increased pressure they were facing at the quarterback position by running a lot of 12 formation, which is two tight ends and two running backs, right?
Yeah.
So, or no, one running back, two tight end, right? So having that extra tight end took Jackson Smith and Jigba off the field quite a lot, right? So him being off the field probably did not endear him to that coach, he still ended up with
good numbers, really good numbers for a rookie. 63 and 63
yards,
and
60 touchdown or
628.
Yeah, 60 catches, 600 plus yards. That's decent numbers for a rookie, right? So he probably didn't get as many snaps as he wanted. I'm not gonna sit here and say that JSN's like, whatever that answer was. I don't know if he was joking because he
was. They caught him in the midst of it. He wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know how that really.
You could kind of see by that he was not expecting a Shane Waldron question, and he was kind of.
He might not have had the best relationship with him, but from what I understand of Shane Waldron, I haven't really seen anybody go into his offense and struggle. The running backs do well. Zach Charbonnet had a good rookie year. Kenneth Walker last year had 1,000 yards in his rookie season in like 9 games or 10 games or something like that, right? DK Metcalf's put up 1,000 yards every year. Russell Wilson put up good numbers. Geno Smith put up good numbers. Tyler Lockett put up good numbers. The offensive linemen are playing well. They got 2 young offensive tackles that they brought along pretty well that have had some success. Despite, a lot of turmoil and insecurity in that. So I'm not going to say that he's the best offensive coordinator in the league. I think definitely can be more than solid and definitely better than one of the worst offensive coordinators in the league, which is
he's better than I'm going to put him above. He's easily above Getsy.
Yeah, and that's not a debate.
Right. Easily not a debate. And I'm going to put him above our boy Nagy. That they tried to resurrect his career in Kansas City and hopping on a ride for the Super Bowl win. Definitely.
Yeah, and he's not calling plays over there either. That's Andy Reid calling plays.
Well, I think he started off the season calling plays, or at least he walked around with the board like he might have been doing it. And so I'm just saying, but when it comes down to it and it's make or break for overtime in the Super Bowl, that's Andy Reid's call.
Yeah. So I mean, look, it's definitely an upgrade from what the Bears have had. And if you watch the way that they put that process together, you can smell Ryan Poles' influence all over it, right? So they went and they found guys that fit the system that we already had. First of all, everybody we interviewed almost 9-10 people for that job.
Yeah.
Almost everyone was from either Shanahan coaching tree or the McVay coaching tree, right?
Well, yeah, so he worked for Belichick, he worked for Pete Carroll, he worked for Gruden, and he worked for Sean McVay.
Yeah, so he's got.
If he didn't learn anything there, he can't learn nothing. But I mean,
he's been all over, and he's had success every stop of the way. So I really think that as far as
not a bad choice,
this is the safest hire, not just a bad or good. I think this is the safest pick. No matter what quarterback we roll into next season with, no matter who we roll in, we're keeping most of the offense intact. We've got the same tight end coach. We've got the same offensive line coach. That means that all the protection calls and things like that will remain very similar. So guys will not have a steep learning curve when they're actually installing new concepts. It's mostly going to be route concepts that change. It's going to be formations that change, but the protection calls are going to be the same. Like the language of the offense, like the code of it. That's all going to be transferable because we're keeping enough continuity within those coaches that remained. And I like that decision because as far as position groups go, I think the offensive line is the one that has taken a step forward in this rebuild so far, and none of the other position groups really have done that.
Well, yeah, I mean, the offensive line, it's taking a step forward, but every position group on the offense needs work, without question. The best thing we do offensively is run the rock. I want us to get better. and
I
running
mean, realistically, think about it this way, right? There's only one position group on the entire team that doesn't need to improve. And that position group is the linebackers. That's it. That's I have everyone on the team. That's the only position group that doesn't.
I think the cornerbacks are in that conversation.
Yes, but they still need to improve. Stevenson allowed, I want to say, like 60 catches or something like that his rookie year. Yes, he was being targeted because it was across from Jalen Johnson. And yes, he got better throughout the year, but he still needs to improve. I think he has enormous potential. I think he could be an absolute stud, and we can have a crazy tandem at CB, but that doesn't mean we don't need to improve there.
And then was it Smith, the young guy behind Stevenson?
Terrell Smith. Yep.
Oh, I mean, he's a beast.
Yeah, he was balling out. We got some depth. I think we need a backup nickel that is a little bit more secure behind Kyler Gordon in case we see him go down with injury again. But
I like I feel solid about our cornerback room. I feel solid about our linebacker room. We just blew up the safeties.
Yeah, I consider like defensive backs one position group rather than.
Yeah, I mean they are
splitting them. So like the big hole at safety obviously is Eddie Jackson. So let's talk about the defense. Let's talk about Eric Washington coming in and what this means, because Eberflus kind of is the de facto defensive coordinator now. He tried the CEO thing last year and the year before, whatever, kind of got forced into the role with the whole Alan Williams firing, right? And then the defense looked incredible after we had that happen, right?
It took a minute.
Eberflus calling for yes, but it did look incredible after that.
Yeah, the defense was, and our defense did too. I mean, you look at the Green Bay game. Even though we lost that game, we didn't show up. I think we only gave up 17 to Green Bay, who went and dropped almost 50 on Dallas.
Yeah, so I really like Eberflus's taking over the defense. Now we bring in Eric Washington, who was with the Buffalo Bills prior to this.
We started his career with the Bears in 2008.
Who started his career with the Bears? That's correct. Coach. That's correct. So we bring in Eric Washington. He is now, come full circle. He's the official defensive coordinator, and I think he'll be in more of that Phil Snow role from last year, where he's really helping Flus prepare the game plan, where he's helping him kind of get everything ready and get everything in order so that when Flus goes out there, he has less to think about because he's already got to manage the game, manage the clock, make important calls, things like that. So he's really not a play calling DC, but it's really going to tell us a little bit about him, how we come out and perform right out the gate. Like, are we going to come out slow and flat footed? Is he going to bring that energy and that intensity that we want to see from these guys and keep us the monsters? Because we've got some notable departures in Eddie Jackson, and we got some notable holes around the other, positions around the defense.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, he's got a good resume. He's come from defenses that have done well, in his position groups that he's coached have done well. And, they're not, and again, Flus is going to continue to make the calls, but this feels like one of those career building jobs for him. Whereas, he's going to get to work on a defense that's already established, and any tweaking, any improvement, that just makes his career better.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And we're going to need to improve some positions. So, we got a lot of holes to fill around the roster, but I don't think any of them loom as large as Eddie Jackson, right? So
safety and edge. I think
well, edge, yes, but I think safety is a bigger hole, right? Because we do have DeMarcus Walker to start at that other edge position, and he is more than serviceable as a starter. He definitely sets the edge. He's definitely really good in run support and making sure that that I think it was the number one run defense in the league last year, making sure that continues. We have some consistency along that. So but really safety now. Like I don't know. So do you know kind of what do you think we're gonna do with that? Are we gonna look draft, find a young guy? Are we gonna try to find like Geno Stone or Jordan Whitehead or something, a low cost guy in free agency? Like what's your opinion on that?
You know what we had actually we actually touched on that on We're Talking Bears on our last episode about Eddie Jackson and the possibilities for this exact thing to have happened. I don't know. I personally, just like we had discussed before, I'm okay with us drafting some young talent. I would have hoped they could have learned from Eddie Jackson type of guy, but I don't know. At this point, maybe getting somebody with a little bit of experience, you know, at an affordable cost that can come in that's not a rookie might be the move now, since we won't have Eddie Jackson here to kind of help usher in, you know, somebody younger. But I mean, that stuff is all up in the air. To me, it's just going to depend on how the cards all fall out for us. We have so much opportunity going into this offseason, into the draft. So there's no telling which way it can play out. But I think either one of those is possible. Me personally, we're a young team. I would like to see some veteran presence if possible. That might not be the position where we do it, but you get what I'm saying. I would just like to have some leadership. Eddie Jackson was one of those guys for us, so it'd be nice to be able to maybe replace him or somebody else on the team with somebody that has that experience to help usher in the young talent that we have and that we're getting. So I'm not sure. I'm honestly, I couldn't speculate on what I think to answer your question. I can't speculate on what I think is going to happen.
Well, I got a. What do you guys think about Antoine Whitfield Jr.?
Well, man, I love Antoine, but I don't know if we can afford him.
Right.
Frankly, like we got a lot of look. So Jalen is going to be. We got what, 70 million in cap space.
Right. Well, with Eddie being released, we got almost 80.
No. That is with Eddie being released, right?
No, it was 61 before we let go of Cody.
I don't think so. I think you're wrong. But
right, maybe I am. But
the point is, the number I've seen was 68 million. So operating off of that, we got Jalen Johnson being re-signed. So say that's 21 million, right? Then we need probably 15 million plus for the rookies, considering that we have 2 top 10 picks, right? So that's gonna drive that cost up. The number 1 pick, especially if we're picking that 1 to 3 range, that's gonna be like freaking 6 million, something like that, minimum, right? 7 million minimum for a cap hit if we pick number 1, and just only slightly less than that if we trade back just a few spots. So 2 top 10 picks, that's going to drive our rookie costs up. So we really are looking at probably 30 to 35 million total to spend in free agency. And we got a lot of holes. Like we got to decide, are we re-signing Mooney? Do we need a second wide receiver to come in besides drafting somebody? Because we know we're drafting somebody.
I've checked
center, a veteran presence at center would be a huge help. Edge, like you said before, this isn't a great edge class for the draft. The options there are kind of limited. So
I got Over the Caps got us at 67, and Sport Track has us at 70 available.
Yeah, so I was right on.
Yeah, but if you think about it,
to fill 3 to 5 spots with veterans.
I don't think we're going to re-sign Mooney. I mean, we haven't let him go. I don't think we're going to re-sign Mooney, because if we go after a big-time receiver in the draft, which we should, you know, why would you re-sign Mooney? You have growing young guys already, and you're going to go higher.
Because I would rather have Mooney than Velus Jones. That's why. I would rather have Mooney than Tyler Scott.
Yeah, I think we don't know what Tyler Scott's going to be next year.
But Velus Jones, I for sure would rather have Mooney.
And you don't know how Waldron is going to use Velus Jones and his speed. I mean, here's a guy that gets 10 yards a carry that we don't give the ball to.
I mean, and we gave him 2 carries or something out of a running back spot at the end of the year.
Twice the game.
Guess he really did not know how to do that with people, is move them around and use them to their best advantage. But
I mean,
at the end of the
that's
day,
coaching. That's
at the
coaching.
end of the day, I would still rather have Mooney than Velus Jones.
Yeah.
And I
I'm
think
not saying that.
Waldron will look at the tape and see a Tyler Scott kind of role if they do keep him. So I don't think. I think they have very similar skill sets. I think they're very similar players in terms of their speed, their shiftiness, their size, and the way they get open in the NFL, and their good hands at the catch point. For the most part, Mooney had some trouble with drops this past season, but
That's
for
not
the
his.
most
That's
part,
not his normal.
yeah, that's not typical for him, right? So we definitely want to see him return to form if he does stay. But I mean, I understand if the price is
I
too
don't
high,
think
and
he's.
Foles
I don't think he's.
doesn't want to
I'll
do
tell
it.
you why I don't think Mooney's coming back, honestly, because there's teams like Kansas City that are starving for receiver.
Yeah.
And you know, if I'm Mooney and I have the choice between coming back to the Bears and going to the Chiefs, where Travis Kelce's going to play another year with the future GOAT. You know, you got the GOAT of tight ends with the GOAT of. You
Yeah,
just
but
throw me some balls.
that room is not empty. They still have Sky Moore, who was a second round pick last year, Rashae Rice, who was a second round pick this year. MVS has carved out a very consistent role.
I mean,
So
it's
it's not
not
like
it's not empty,
Justin
but it's
Watson would be a guy he would have to overcome. It's not like there's nobody there to
right. But
compete with.
they don't have high quality there.
No, it's not a very big name room. I think Darnell would probably be one of the more accomplished receivers right away if he went there.
And don't let him go make a spectacular catch for Patrick on the way in the end zone.
Yeah, and then suddenly he'll be recognized as an all pro. It'll be crazy. So you know, that's that Bears tax. But
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is, I mean, do we want to keep developing talent and then letting them walk?
Well, I think sometimes you have to, and part of it is Mooney didn't perform last year. He didn't perform in his contract year. Just like Johnson performed in his contract year, you have to pay him. Otherwise, you tell the team.
I'll say this though. When Luke Gessie worked in Green Bay, Devontae Adams had, I think, 14 or 1,500 yards and 10 plus TDs each year, and his next highest receiver was like 500. And this year, with Luke Gessie working in Chicago, DJ Moore had 1,300, almost 1,400 yards and almost 10 touchdowns, and his next highest receiver had like 500. So that could be an artifact of the scheme he was in. Of course, he was less productive last year, but got injured midway through the season, so we didn't really get to see what that was going to turn out to be. And on the pace he was on, he probably would have finished somewhere in the 800 to 900 yard range, which, I mean, that's fair. If you're not,
that would have been completely sufficient. But he had fumbleitis, dropitis. Balls were popping out of his hands, and then when he had the chance to pull out the season and recover his season with a ball that fell in his lap, he kicks it into the defense's hand.
No, I agree 100%. It was definitely a forgettable season for Mooney, and it would really suck to see him go, because he is one of our favorites here.
For sure.
And in Chicago in general, man. I would love to see them try to work out a deal, but I think where his contract's going to end up is probably somewhere in the 8 to 10 million range.
Not happening.
Foles might not be willing to commit that to him.
No, that's seven. I mean, that's 13% of the amount of cap we have, total cap, for everything we're trying to do. And you have to go and give 14. You have to go and give 20% of it, 25% of it to Jalen Johnson.
Yeah. So
there's just not, you can't. And then you'd be giving them a multi-year contract. You know, unless you just get them for 1 year, then you could do
a season type deal.
It's not even a prove it season. It's just we'll take you for this year, but honestly, the direction we're going, unless they trade Fields, they're going to need some cap room.
Yeah.
That's just it. So we
I mean, even if
need to
they
leave the
trade
season with
Fields,
some
we
cap
still
room.
need cap room. And I think we're gonna get it coming up. There's a couple of contracts that are gonna expire or be ones we can kind of get out of. Nate Davis's contract is basically 2 years of that guaranteed. What you call him? We were just talking about him a second ago. Defensive end, Demarcus
Yep.
Walker. Demarcus Walker's contract is going to come. I think he's 3 years, 21 million, and the third year is not guaranteed. So there's a couple contracts we can get out of coming next year, but
You got to
really,
replace those guys with starters. You got to replace
yeah,
those with
that's
first,
the
second,
guys
maybe early third round picks.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's really going to come down to how much money we have and where Poles wants to allocate it. And I think the wide receiver room is definitely one where he wants to allocate it, but it's going to be hard to justify keeping either Mooney or Velas or EQ. It's going to really come down to one of those three. And of those three, I would keep Mooney. Frankly.
So here, let me toss this up while we're talking coaches and staffing. In the NFL now, the formula to win a lot of Super Bowls is have the GOAT at quarterback. For a while it was Brady, and now it's being handed off to Mahomes, and then have a Hall of Famer / the GOAT at tight end. Where, as we saw in the Super Bowl and throughout the playoffs, what Travis Kelce was able to do as the GOAT of tight ends, the only tight end to have 1,000-yard after 1,000-yard after 1,000-yard season. He was a couple yards short, but he missed like 4 or 5 games this year. So, just he was going to have 1,400-yard season again. And when you have the best tight end in football, and then look at what happened to San Francisco. They ran it all the way to overtime, and Kittle disappeared. Kittle vanished. If Kittle had any type of game, San Francisco wins. But they erased Kittle off the field. But they couldn't erase Kelce. So, is Kmet good enough to start to get in those conversations, or do we, does he become our number 2 and we're hunting for that
who Kmet,
Kelce Gronk type of guy?
You know who Kmet reminds me of the most thus far in his career? Jason Witten.
Okay.
Witten wasn't the shiftiest guy, but had decent straight line speed if he got loose. He was good in the seam. He was a good mismatch guy. He was great in the red zone. I think that's the best comp for Kmet, but Kmet also blocks better than Jason Witten ever did. Jason Witten was a good blocker. Kmet's a better one, right? So I think.
Well, that's that key with Kelce and Gronk. They both can block.
Kmet is probably the best all-around tight end in the league. Probably right. Well, I would say right behind Kittle, because Kittle is a hell of a blocker too. I would say
Kelce can block too, man. Don't doubt on Kelce's block.
Kelce can block, but he's not an integral part of the run game the way
he ain't trying to be.
Exactly. Right. Exactly. He's not trying to be. That means that the coaches aren't asking him to be. That means that he's not that guy.
He's a 1,300-yard a season tight end that's 36 years old.
Exactly. And Kittle and Kmet are probably like fringe 1,000-yard guys in optimal offenses, right? Which is kind of where Jason Witten sat. And sometimes Jason Witten would go over that mark, and sometimes he'd be in the 900s. But he was probably usually a 10 touchdown guy, right? So I think that's probably his closest comparison. And do I think that's good enough to win with? Yes. Do I think we probably also need another talented tight end behind him? Yes. And there's a lot of guys in the draft that I would love to see us pick up. There's Jaheim Bell out of Florida State. Is Florida or Florida State? One of them. And man, he's a dog. Jaheim Bell's a freaking dog. He probably is going to go mid rounds too. I really hope he falls to that 3rd, 4th round where it would make a lot of sense for us to pick him. Brock Bowers. I wouldn't be upset if we took Brock Bowers, honestly. If we took Brock Bowers, I'd be okay with letting Mooney go, frankly.
I mean, you gotta have enough ball to go around.
Yeah, but that's why if you let Mooney go, then you gotta inline tight end in Cole Kmet, who's lined up off the tackle all the time, who's absolutely devastating in the run game, and then can catch 70 balls at a 1% drop rate, and he's 6'6" in the red zone. And then you've got behind him a move tight end who's 6'4" and runs a 4.50 or whatever the heck Bowers runs, and has insane ball skills and route running and just finesse. And this dude could just move through the secondary and carve it up like nobody's business while being bigger than all the DBs out there, right? And if you can run that 2 tight end set, and both of them block, right? If you can run that 2 tight end set, and you've got Bowers running around, you can move Bowers into the slot from your base 2 tight end formation, and then suddenly the defense is in the wrong formation because a linebacker is not going to run with Bowers in space. He's not going to cover him. It's not going to happen. Now you got a mismatch. Then you got Marvin Harrison on the outside. You got DJ Moore on the other side. Bowers and Kmet. That's a disgusting.
That would be a heck of a use of our early picks. I mean, you could trade back to 3 and get Marvin Harrison Jr. You could stay at 9 and probably get Brock Bowers. Then you got a second-round pick to play with, which you can buy a center.
The Chargers might take Bowers at 5.
Yeah, they might. They
might take Bowers at 5. But they might not. They might go offensive line help because they need that. They might go defense because they need that. So we'll see what happens.
If he's there. I mean,
it's not unrealistic when he's at 9. It's not unrealistic. He's coming off an injury.
And if you've got Marvin Harrison and you can get Bowers, buy Mr. Tunyon, buy Mr. Mooney, let's go.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. And man, it would really hurt to see 11 in another uniform, though. I gotta say that, man. I would. Really
I mean, you know what? I don't want to see him go,
until we win.
Until we win. I mean, it would still hurt. It would be like, damn, we couldn't do this with him.
I'm just saying, when we win, you might forget a little bit that he wasn't there right for a little minute.
I would still be watching what he was doing elsewhere. He always gonna have a special place with us, man.
Absolutely.
He helped us get through some dark times.
Absolutely. But he's not gone yet. But look, hey, my thing is, and we've said this here on We're Talking Bears, I'm okay with you making changes and making moves. I'm a Fields fan, but I'm okay if you go another direction. But get it right. Get it right.
Get it right.
We're tired of you picking the wrong people. Get it right.
Now here's so talking about getting it right. A position group that's tougher to get right is this offensive line, right? Braxton Jones kind of had an up and down season, was injured a bit, came back, didn't look great against top competition. Really struggled against the Packers twice. Really struggled against the Browns when Myles Garrett really tore him a new one. Do we think Braxton Jones is good enough to win with, or does that need to be a position that we target for upgrade?
Look, I think you got to choose your direction. Do you think everybody's saying, hey, get a quarterback that, get a Mahomes or a Brady that can lift you above your offensive line talent? Well, there's only one of each of those. That's why they're the argument for the GOAT. The GOAT that's now, and the GOAT that looks like he's about to take the GOAT's title, right? So,
with some help from the refs.
What'd you say?
With some help from the refs.
Yeah. True. But they both got help from the refs. You could not.
And a little more help from Taylor Swift.
Yeah. And Vegas, because
can't argue that.
I mean, Vegas and the refs is basically one and the same. That's how Vegas exerts their influence, bro. Come on, don't tell me you don't see it.
You can take the San Francisco path, who hasn't broken through in a while, but they've consistently been at the top of the NFC by building a whole team. They built a strong defense. They built a great offensive line. They can run the ball on anybody. They've got great wide receivers. And then they inject a serviceable quarterback into that mix. Nobody's clamoring for Brock Purdy as the GOAT, but he led the NFL in yards, right? So you put a serviceable quarterback in that mix, a decent QB who's not going to be touched most of the season, who can just stand there, make his reads, and throw the ball. So you got to pick. Are you really trying to find the next GOAT, which I personally think is harder, or are you going to build a team and roll? And that's this draft will tell us what we're doing, because if we're building a team and rolling, then we're gonna trade back a little, and we're gonna get a lot of value, including a lot of offensive line help. Because part of the offensive line problem is we've got a first rounder, a second rounder, a bunch of old guys, and a bunch of late rounders. And that's you want just like, unfortunately, they did up north to beat us. You want a good defense, you put a bunch of first-round picks out there. You want a good offense, you put a bunch of first-round picks out there. This is how you do it. You get the best free agents, the guys that prove they were drafted too low.
Yeah.
And that's the decision. But right now, is Braxton serviceable? Yeah. Would he start on other teams? I would say he'd start probably on 20% of the NFL, which by that sentence, that's not enough for me. He'd start on 20% of the NFL. I'm tired of my quarterback being a punching bag. I need a great center, and I need a great left tackle. I think Wright is going to become a great right tackle.
Do you think Braxton can keep developing past what we saw this year? Do you think it's like an issue of just he needs a couple more off seasons of power work, you know what I mean, and technique work? Or is this like, I mean, do you think we've seen what we're going to see from him?
That's a tough question. I don't have the answer to that, because that's really up to his body. At a certain point, his body's as close to maximum as it's going to get. And if that's just not strong enough to stop a Myles Garrett,
then it ain't.
Then I mean, well, it's not right now, but I'm saying, can he gain 8, 9, 10% more strength, right? Can he learn how to sit down even better on a bull rush,
See, if it comes down to that, I wouldn't risk my quarterback on that. You know what I mean? I would rather the swing tackle.
Here's your tough part. If you go and you pick and you trade off Fields and you get, a number one quarterback early in the draft, right? You got to use that pick that you received for Field at a minimum to get a left tackle, or you use that 9 to get a left tackle. Now you got a quarterback.
I would rather do it on a center. Honestly, I think that's a bigger hole.
Well, you have to get a center. I mean, let's just pretend you get a 2-2, or let's call it a 2-4 for Fields. I mean, I don't know who's going to do it, but let's just throw it out there.
Let's say New England 2-3.
Okay, 2-3 for Fields, right? All right. So your 1-1 has to be your quarterback. Your 1-9 has to be your left tackle. And then your 2-3 is your center.
I mean, then we'd leave a giant hole at wide receiver 2.
You have to rehire Mooney. You got nothing.
I don't like this outcome. I don't like what we're doing here. Everything just sounded good about 5 minutes ago, and now we're on to this.
Here's the good news.
This is the Caleb tree, right?
But you hope that Caleb makes up
for the deficiencies elsewhere.
Because he's going to be Batman.
You solve the offensive line, though, because you've got a premier left tackle. He doesn't walk in with the job because Braxton's serviceable. He has to win that job in the preseason. If he outright wins the job, you've got your man. You've got a center who Lucas Patrick is not hard to beat. But again, you have to be a 10-year pro, right?
Yeah, I like that because if we have an injury, if Darnell Wright goes down, I think Braxton can step in and we won't miss a beat.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
He can step in and we won't miss a beat. I would prefer that we go offensive line with one of our high picks, right? Or trade down and get another pick and do that. But I would really like to see us go offensive line really
you
high.
could grab
Right.
if you hold on Fields, you can grab a Marvin Harrison, have traded back. You can then take your 9. You can trade back a couple slots, not far, and you take a left tackle there. He's not going to be the top left tackle off the board, but he's a serviceable left
You
tackle.
can probably get Olu or J.C. Latham.
Yeah, you can get a good left tackle. And
good
then with one of the seconds you picked up from trading back, you go ahead and you get a center. Now you've got a left tackle, a center, Marvin Harrison Jr., and you're saying, hey, you're doing a San Francisco. You're building a team.
Yeah.
You're building a team, and you know what?
Every successful team.
Yeah, you're building a successful team. And an upright quarterback plays better football. Patrick Mahomes lost the Super Bowl getting knocked around. Tom Brady lost many a game getting knocked around. If you can put Mahomes on the ground, you can beat him. If you can put Brady on the ground, you can beat him.
That's what Antonio Pierce with the Raiders is just talking about. He was like, they got Mahomes rules like the Jordan rules. And they're going to be the bad boy Pistons now and just beat the crap out of Mahomes. Like, I was like, oof, let's see how that work out. But that's the right approach for sure.
It's the right. If you put them on the ground, you can win, and that's the key. But that's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
So do we want to be that? Do we want to look like? One, you have to get past San Francisco to get in the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. You can't get in this conversation of Super Bowl without going through Northern California, because they've been running the NFC for a while, and they don't, they're not gonna they're gonna be pretty decent next year. They don't have to spend much on quarterback.
Right. Yeah, no, they're gonna be good every year, man. That's really where I want the Bears to get to, man, because chasing that elusive, like, oh, this quarterback is just so good that he makes everything okay. First of all, that's a fallacy, right? Patrick Mahomes has 2 to 3 all-pros around him at all points in time on offense with him.
Not just all-pros. He has the
Hall of Fame level
tight end ever. Kelsey is going to go down with numbers that no other tight end has had, period.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Right. So he's the Devin Hester of tight ends.
That's fact.
It's debatable whether he's better than Gronk, maybe, but I think he's.
When you look at the numbers, you can't compare it. He beat the tar out. Gronk. Yeah. When you look at the numbers back to back, it's Kelsey all day long.
All right, then there it is, right? So you talking about a quarterback is only as good as his best weapon. And if your best weapon is going to the Hall of Fame, quarterback's going to be pretty good, right? That's what happened with Steve Young.
Yes.
He went to San Francisco and had Jerry
Rice.
Right?
And then T.O.
I wonder how
Troy Aikman, Michael Irvin. It's really that's really the debate, right? So let's talk about this Fields versus Caleb thing, because we keep leading back here, right?
Okay.
At the end of the day, what it comes down to is, do we think Fields is good enough to win a championship? Do we think that he can go deep in the playoffs, that he can pull victories out against really tough teams when he's the best player on our team?
Or do you think Caleb can?
Or do you think Caleb can? Do you think Caleb can do something that Fields can't do?
I'll jump into that. One, I don't think Fields has proven at all that as the best player on our team, he can win. Okay? Because when he was the best player on the offense, we were getting murdered, right? Now.
Do you think he's not the best player on the offense? Like, DJ Moore came in, and DJ Moore is incredible. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like,
I would say
Fields numbers.
DJ Moore,
let me just put it this way. DJ Moore has been transformative for the wide receiver position on our offense. but Fields' numbers were almost identical to Lamar Jackson's, who just won the MVP. Like, Fields was on pace for 34 to 3,500 yards, for 20 plus passing touchdowns, and especially if we're like excusing those Browns interceptions that weren't really interceptions, about the same interception to touchdown ratio, more rushing yards, more rushing touchdowns than Lamar.
It's fumbles and sacks.
Fumbles and sacks. Okay, yeah, but like he's 24, right? But in terms of output, in terms of production, he was keeping pace with the league MVP almost blow for blow. And yes, there were a couple more fumbles, but Lamar Jackson, as we saw in the Detroit playoff game against the same defensive line that Chicago had trouble containing on Fields' behalf, Lamar Jackson was standing in the pocket like this.
Yeah.
Oh, is somebody coming? Okay, I'll leave. You know what I mean? Like that was his pocket against Detroit. And Fields was like,
you said Detroit.
Duck under somebody, twist, spin, run away from Aiden Hutchinson, stiff arm. Like that was Fields' experience. So when you talk about like, and then also Lamar was throwing to what, 3 first-round receivers and a second-round receiver, and Isaiah Likely, who he was drafted in the 4th round, but is a really good tight end. Like it's not a debate.
I mean, all I'm saying was the question was.
So talk about fumbles and sacks. Yeah, that happens when your offensive line can't block the freaking cold.
The question was, can he take us on? Can he elevate us to the Super Bowl as the best player on the offense? Now,
I'm just saying, is he not still the best player on the offense?
Strange question.
You know what? Well, here's the question, though. Honestly, that's a tough question because here you sit. I don't think he's the number 6 quarterback in the league, and DJ Moore is the number 6 wide receiver. So aside from the fact that Fields, aside from that, I'm going to say if position, look, his position is more important than wide receiver, even though wide receiver is critical. But if you just look at a guy versus people at his position, DJ Moore is the best player on offense.
I understand that sense, but that's not how you judge whether somebody, because like DJ Moore is the best wide receiver on our offense. If we're just judging guys based on guys at their position, we're talking about every position. Who is the best player on the offense, right?
But you would, I mean, DJ Moore, you could argue is the best weapon on the offense if we use him right.
I don't agree with that sentence either, because observe, when we plugged Tyson Bagent in at quarterback, we still had DJ Moore. DJ Moore was putting up 55 yards a game, every game, and no touchdowns. If DJ Moore was the best player on the offense, where was the production when
he was a decoy so we could win? And we did win. 2 of 2 with Bagent.
Dude, we struggled. We jumped on the short bus, poked holes in all of the tires with the sharpest forks we could find, and then rolled on them flats past the Carolina Panthers. That was what we did with Justin Fields out. And then Justin Fields came back the very next week, and we stomped on the NFC division playoff winner Detroit Lions.
Yeah. I mean, they were in the
minutes when our defense collapsed. So I don't want you to sit here and tell me that DJ Moore is better than Justin Fields, because when DJ Moore was there, we struggled to put points up against the Panthers. And when Justin Fields showed up, then suddenly we're stomping all over a defense.
Yeah, but Justin had DJ.
NFC championship.
They had each other.
They did, but I'm
not
when
DJ Moore and Komet were out.
Hey, I got a question for you guys though, because you asked the question about can we win with him, and I get to me that's a hard question because you don't win with anyone like that. In my opinion, maybe I'm missing something, but if we take Purdy, who was just in the Super Bowl, they had an opportunity to win, right? If you put Purdy in the Bears with the team that Justin just played with, can he win a Super Bowl for us? No. But absolutely. Can he win a Super Bowl for a team? It's like, yeah, if the team is incredible. So and so I guess for me, what I have a hard time understanding is how do you fight with ghosts, right? Justin Fields is an NFL football player. How can we compare a college player to him at all? Like, if we're gonna say it's hypothetical and like, yeah, he might come to the league, and it's like, and Justin might be great when you put a great team around him. Obviously, these are hypothetical things, right? But where does the confidence come in? This is something I've been wondering, because I did never play football, but I want, where's the confidence come from? That's like, hey, I know this is a professional. He's not doing that well. But this guy who's been playing against guys who are never going to be professional, I'm sure he's going to be the next greatest thing that's happened on the professional level. How do you know that? How could you possibly know that? Like, I don't get that.
No, man. I think you guess. I think that's really what it's about. It's a guess.
You guess, right? So why can't we just guess? What makes people guess against Justin Fields? I get it, things haven't been great, but it's just like, think of the Bulls when Michael Jordan left, right? And it's like, then when he comes back, it's like, oh snap, I guess Scottie Pippen can win another championship. Yeah, when he got Jordan, you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, sometimes that's what it takes. It's like, work on your team. See what guys work well together. And I'm not knocking Caleb, right? But sometimes it's like, hey, you have a group of guys who play together right now. I wonder what they think about it. Or is it just these great analysts who are like, oh, I'm sure this is going to be your new guy. I'm sure the team could tell you better than your analyst could tell you. Like, no, we like playing with this guy, and we don't believe in this guy. And you get what I'm saying? So sometimes when I see that, it's just like, how could you possibly think? That's just like, I was great in high school. You know what I mean? It's like, how many times have we seen the NBA try to bounce guys straight into the NBA? The only guys that have been great is a select few of them. And then some of them we really get down on really bad. You get what I'm saying? We got KG, we got Kobe, we got T-Mac, then we got Kwame Brown. You get what I'm saying? So it's like, we can always sit and say, oh, he looks great in his current setting. You know, but it's like, come on, man. Let's look at what we've actually seen progress for the Bears. And we got better when we brought Sweat. We got better when we brought DJ. So why can't we just look at it like, let's keep building with what we got? Yeah, Justin, like most people doing anything in life, can do better. You get what I'm saying? But sometimes what it takes is your teammates to have confidence in you. Not like, oh, you make one more mistake, you're out the door. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes that's the pressure that drives a player to do poorly. Yeah. I don't know. That's all I got. I just wonder, how could you have any confidence in Caleb? And I think he might be a great professional player when he comes into the league. But how could you ever be so confident?
Yeah, I mean, I 100% agree with you personally. I think the risk is greater than the reward when it comes to that decision.
Yeah.
I think you run the risk of, if Caleb comes in and struggles, then a team that feels like they're on an upward trajectory suddenly don't anymore.
There you go.
Right. And then the guys that are playing well suddenly aren't anymore. Right. The guys that are content right now suddenly aren't. If DJ Moore is suddenly not hitting career highs on his numbers, then suddenly you've got a malcontent number one wide receiver who may not want to stay there.
There you go.
Right. And you didn't draft Marvin Harrison. So now who do you got behind him?
Right.
You know what I mean? You didn't build your offensive line with the draft capital. You don't have another first round pick next year from trading the first round pick now.
Right.
It really puts all of your eggs in that Caleb basket. And it's a very risky basket to put them in when you already have a Justin Fields basket that's like attached to some balloons and is doing this.
Let me say this. The only way I would make that move, and this is me, if I'm the GM, if I'm with the Bears organization and this is my decision to make, I'm only making that decision if the team has unanimously been telling me we don't want to play with Justin Fields. It's the only way I'm making that move. And the reason I say that isn't because Caleb can't be the guy or he might not be a great player, but my concern is more so like what you just said, right? If I'm DJ and I'm the star player and we're on the upper trajectory, you do this move and now we aren't. We can all live with it if we all were in on this decision. But what starts to happen if you made this decision and now we're going down the toilet, now I start to wonder, do you even know what you're looking at when you see me play? Do you even know what you have on this team already as you look elsewhere for guys to make an impact, but you don't know what you have already? And that begs the question then of what we're doing, what our front office is really doing and what they're going to do with us. And I don't think you'll keep a lot of players with that.
And that's how you end up with a mutiny. And then people won't want to re-sign with you. Free agents won't want to come here. And then suddenly you're back at the bottom trying to rebuild again. Absolutely. And I feel like if you do stick with Justin and he doesn't pan out, you passed on Caleb because everyone believed in Justin and everyone was wrong together.
That's it.
I think you can
That's
move
different.
on from that.
That's different. I feel like those guys, like what you spoke of with DJ, and guys that might not believe in it anymore, they don't want to be here anymore. I think when we're all wrong together, we all try to pick up the broken pieces together, and we try to, you get what I'm saying, move forward again together. It's not going to be like, oh, the GM doesn't know what he's talking about. You get what I'm saying? We're all over here working hard, trying to build something, and he's getting rid of the guys that we want here, the guys that we believe in, that we want to play with.
And frankly, I just think it's going to be really difficult to be wrong about Justin when he's throwing to Marvin Harrison and DJ Moore and Cole Kmet.
And we've been getting better. So you can't tell me you're not going to make our team even better, and we're not going to continue to get better when we've only gotten better.
Right. I don't see how you suck, because Justin is accurate as he's accurate as all get out throwing the ball. It's not like he can't throw and he's like Mitch Trubisky, where he drops back to throw and you don't know if the ball's going to end up in the stands or on the field. Right. that was Mitch's problem, is like you see guys like running for it, just laying out, diving, trying to catch up to it. Right. With Justin, it's like, dang, like if they don't like all they have to do is just run straight. You know what I'm saying? Like every once in a while they'll have to adjust. If it's like a cold, like really windy day or something, like, yeah, you might have to turn a little bit to catch the ball, but it's gonna be there. You know what I'm saying? Run the dang route, the ball will be there. Marvin Harrison, really? You think he can't make him work? Like what Justin to DJ was, I think, second in the league in terms of EPA for a quarterback to wide receiver connection. Like number 2 in the league. It was Tua and Tyreek and Justin and DJ. Those are the best 2 wide receiver quarterback tandems in the league. So you think you add another receiver with the same amount of talent as DJ Moore, and it's going to be bad?
Right. Exactly. And you think that by getting the quarterback without improving the guys around him, we're going to be better? Like that's exactly what I'm saying. I don't understand that logic. I don't understand that logic. And I don't see a team supporting that. That's just me. I don't see a team supporting that. Granted, we think about how badly we would have to think of our quarterback if we're like, nah, we want Caleb in here. We don't know what he's gonna do because we know it's a gamble, right? We all know that. We all play this game, but we want to gamble on Caleb.
And he's not like
I feel like we would know that. Like, you get what I'm saying? That's not something that you play a whole season and it's like it's up in the air. It's like you would know if the team doesn't like playing with this guy.
Yeah.
That's not what we're hearing from them. That's not what we hear from DJ. That's not what we hear from our superstar players when they speak to the media. They speak highly of them. You get what I'm saying? The coaches speak highly of them. So it's not like you're sitting around with bad blood in the locker room. And I think sometimes it's worth it to play it out with the guys you got. I think it's worth it. Yeah, you can often upgrade. You got 22 starters on the field. You usually can upgrade somewhere, but you get what I'm saying? Then that's when you got your salary cap. You have to play it smart, but building a team is about that. The first thing that's going to be important is their ability to come together. So if there's no continuity, if the team doesn't see that ownership believes in the players they have, if every year when there's an opportunity to upgrade, you're trying to always upgrade, you don't care about these players that you got. You don't respect their talents and their abilities, and they're not going to want to play for you. And I think when they spoke about it, saying that this is a different situation, they asked about the past. Oh, well, you don't want to have a new the quarterback sitting in, you have a new offensive coordinator, and they're going through all these different changes. And he simply said, this is a different situation. And I think they're all on the same page. I think what we're hearing in the media is the media and what they do. But I think Poles and Flus are big on Justin. Now, I'm not saying that I'm sure they're going to keep him. Of course, they can go another way, but I'm confident that they want to keep Justin here. And like he said, unless they give him something that he can't turn down, like an offer you can't refuse, I think they want to keep Justin here. And I think they want to continue to build around him, just like you said, and continue to think about the future. Have some picks for the future. Trade back, get the things that we know we need, the things that we're going to need, whether Caleb comes or Justin comes. Let's get those things in order and see what it does. Because with the moves they made, Sweat coming in, DJ coming in, we've improved. So
100%. And one thing that you said before we started recording was the quote from Poles. What was that again? Say that one more time for when we were in the little lobby before we started.
Oh yeah, I don't remember exactly how he said it, but basically he was saying that they're not I forget the exact verbiage of it, but it was basically that. He was basically saying, like, in order for, he couldn't even imagine what that trade would look like for somebody to take Justin Fields from us and have us move on from Justin and go. He said it would. He didn't say he was against it, but he said I can't even tell you what that trade would need to be for me to pull the trigger on that. So, and I mean, granted, these guys can talk. They still can get an offer that they didn't have before that entices them. But to me, that tells me a lot. It tells me that, hey, you're really going to have to come with it to get us to trade up from Justin Fields. And I mean, we've seen what we got just from trading the pick last year, who ended up being Bryce Young. If you guys are really thinking that Caleb is going to be that, if you really want Justin, come with it.
Yeah. Well, the other side of that is you don't know if you're getting, Patrick Mahomes, future GOAT, if he continues, was 10th. And we passed on him for Mitch. Several people passed on, You look at C.J. Stroud, wasn't thought much of. Right. He was. Carolina gave a king's ransom to get up and
the wrong guy for the wrong guy. And
imagine if they had traded significantly less and went second.
And I was asking that. I've been asking people that. Did you know Stroud was the guy? Is it just like would they if the
nobody knew?
Would Houston have taken Bryce Young if they were the first pick?
And here's the crazy thing.
That may have been
probably Caleb, man.
I'm going to say there may have been one of 31 teams.
It was them. Huh? It was like, we'll stay at 2.
Yeah. They were just like, okay.
Lovey was like,
but that tells me that Houston didn't want to move up to 1 and make sure they got Stroud. Tells me that either A, they were confident that Carolina wanted Bryce Young, and that Carolina was the team that was going to jump them. Because if you remember, the Colts were right there too, right? They were sure that Stroud wasn't going to get picked, or they weren't that high on Stroud either, and they were fine with whoever fell to them.
Right.
I think that's more likely than
I think they knew. Just like this draft.
Wanted him. I think they knew they were comfortable with him. But I don't think they knew, because if you know that Stroud is going to come out and have the best rookie season maybe ever.
Well, you're not going to know that. But you knew he was good. You knew he was the better quarterback.
Even if you knew he was the best quarterback in the draft, you wouldn't give a second-round pick to make sure you got him?
No. Why be? You have to be wise, because they ended up with him and Will Anderson.
What if you end up with Bryce Young? Bryce Young's terrible.
So think about it like this. Right now, the whole world wants Caleb Williams. This is what this is all about. If you're looking back and you're going, Drake May's actually the next CJ Stroud, you're not jumping up to 1.
He's much more similar to CJ than
right. But you're not jumping up to 1. You're not paying that price to go to 1. You're going to let whoever jumps you to get to 1, or the Bears take him, and you're going to get to 2.
You're going to let him fall. But what if you hear through the grapevine, it's the Falcons want to move up to 1 and they like Drake May because he's right across the street in North Carolina? Then what do you do? Then what, you stay at 2?
You have to figure out, are they playing you, right? Because it's a card game. Just because the guy says he's got 4 aces doesn't mean he's got 4 aces.
I'm in no way disagreeing with you. I'm saying that from a perspective of a GM, though, this is higher stakes than a poker hand. You don't just ante up again. If that quarterback is gone, you might not get another chance at a quarterback ever.
Well,
ever. You might never be drafting in the top 5 again as a GM. So this is a bit higher stakes than that than just a regular poker game. It's not.
Yeah, and you might get Brock Purdy.
Good luck with that. There's been 2 of those in the history of the NFL. There was Tom Brady and there was Brock Purdy that were drafted that low and had that much success. So good luck with that. Just go ahead, play those off.
Point being, Pat Mahomes was drafted 10th. 9 teams went nope. Mm-hmm. And Kansas City said, "You've got to be kidding."
The crazy part is Justin Fields was drafted 11th, and the Carolina Panthers last year wish they would have had Justin Fields instead of Bryce Young, and the Atlanta Falcons.
How well he works with DJ Moore,
right? And the Atlanta Falcons this year wish they would have drafted Justin Fields, and probably a couple of other teams. The New York Jets probably wish they would have drafted Justin Fields. The 49ers probably wish they would have drafted Justin Fields, because I think if Justin Fields,
the 49ers are happy with the cheapest quarterback in the NFL.
I think they're happy with the cheapest quarterback, but I think if they drafted Justin Fields at number 3 instead of drafting Trey Lance, I think they won that Super Bowl. I think you put Justin Fields on the team with Debo and Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and all those players and that defense that they got. I don't think you can defend him as easily as you defend Brock Purdy when the play breaks down.
Yeah, but Purdy was running like crazy, man.
He was.
Exactly. Now imagine if it was Justin Fields with that open field. And you gotta worry about Debo that's running around in the backfield doing this, and you don't know where he's gonna go. And Christian McCaffrey is doing a swing route that could be a screen because George Kittle's on that side. So you got 3 safeties and a defensive back on that or whatever on that side of the field, and then Justin Field goes that way. That's a touchdown. That's a touchdown. What you gonna do?
Bottom line.
What you gonna do? You gonna cry? That's what you're gonna do.
I'm not gonna take anything away from Brock.
They probably wish they had him too. Honestly,
Brock threw for over 4,000 yards. He led the league in passing. I'm not taking anything away. He outpassed everybody.
Not saying
taking none away.
Good. I'm not saying he's not good, but I'm saying as in terms of as a defense, it's harder to defend Justin Fields than it is to defend Brock Purdy.
Well, not in the pass game. In the pass game, he's proven this year he was the best quarterback throwing the rock.
You don't know that because Brock Purdy has never thrown a pass to somebody who's not an all-pro.
Well, you can't. Guess what? You throw to the guys that are on the field.
Yeah, I know.
That's why I say go with Marvin Harrison Jr.
The guys that are on the field for Justin Fields worked at Walmart last week. So
come on, man. He had DJ Moore.
Bro. Yeah, now. You remember all them dark times last year where he had all them practice squad guys lined up? Well, I don't even remember most of their names, dude. Like freaking the games where Equanimous St. Brown was our number 1 receiver. And then we had Byron Pringle at the number 2 and Velas at the number 3. And then man, who's the practice squad guy that the Bears always trot out whenever we got nobody?
I don't remember his name.
But man,
bottom line. What's the advantage of Caleb Williams? I mean, let's have an honest conversation.
He's new and no one knows.
He's inexpensive. He's under contract control for the next 5 years, right? That's the number 1 advantage you got.
He does have a cannon.
In terms of passing, he has his cannon. He has a very fast release.
He got a that ball travels 50 plus, 60 plus. He's throwing that ball like Randall Cunningham. He can throw it 60 to 70 yards.
I don't know if he's throwing a 70.
I watched the film. It was like 65 in the air. It was ridiculous.
65 in the air is crazy. I do not.
He got a cannon.
Cannon. But I think Justin Fields also has a cannon, so that's not really an advantage.
He has the same distance as what's Caleb.
I think it's like Fields' cannon is like this, and then Caleb's cannon is like this. So in terms of arm strength, it's a very slight advantage. I'm not even really willing to call that an advantage because I think Fields is more accurate with his deep ball than Caleb is. I think Caleb misses probably, I would say 3 to 4 out of his 5 like flick passes just go wherever. You know what I'm saying? Like he doesn't set his feet. His footwork is terrible. He doesn't really like have the same accuracy and touch Justin does.
But he's got a quick release.
He has a very quick release. That's a huge advantage.
That's an enormous advantage.
Quick release. Maybe pocket presence, but playing in the Pac-12, that's hard to say.
You can't rate pocket presence where
exactly. It's hard to say. It's hard to say pocket presence. I don't think his legs are an advantage over Justin Fields. I think that's an advantage for Justin Fields over Caleb. His size is a disadvantage. He doesn't really play in structure.
I don't think he's that small.
Well. He's like
6'1", 6'2",
215, maybe 6'1". I'd be surprised if he measures 6'2". He's 6'2" in cleats.
He might be 6'2" in cleats. He's probably 6'1" and a half.
I don't even know if we giving him that. We'll see. We'll see at the combine next week.
We will. Right. We'll know exactly. But I'm going to say the quick release and the distance of his cannon That makes
Those
it
are
different.
his two advantages. That's his two advantages. And the second one is very
like
slight.
you said, the money you
and
can
the money is the third
spend on
advantage.
every other position.
But the difference with the money is, right, you trade the pick, depending on how far you're willing to trade back, you get multiple firsts back, then you're getting all of that money back in paying first round picks instead of free agents. So that's kind of pushed too.
No, I hear you, but again, you have to be wise. Like the quarterback's so much more expensive than almost everybody else that you have to be wise with who your rookies. Now, with Darnell Wright, great choice because rookie tackles are really expensive. I mean, not rookie, veteran tackles, really expensive. If we get another first round tackle, we're going to save a lot of money versus going out and getting a veteran.
Yeah.
Again, if we
a
get
a wide receiver, we're going to save a lot of money. It's going to be a difference of 10 to 15 million.
Right. So
paying first round receiver, it's going to be another difference of 10 to 15. That's $30 million between two players. If you get first round picks instead of, that's $30 million. That's about the difference between Justin and Caleb. Let's be real.
Yes, that's is the difference
right there. So the money is kind of push. So your advantages are quick release, slightly bigger arm.
I would call it bigger. It looks like bigger arm. Quick release, bigger arm.
Justin put the ball to Kmet 60 yards in the air against the Cardinals in cold weather, falling backwards. Come on, dude.
But I've got there's a lot of film of him just getting it 50 to 55.
Yeah,
there's only one or two times
he's precision accurate to 50. Because he's precision accurate to 50. Caleb is like smoothbore accurate.
Here's the argument. And this is just an argument for Caleb.
That's not the same.
Here's the difference, though. If you're slower getting the ball out, you have to throw it further because of the timing of the play and the receiver. So if Caleb's faster getting the ball out and can throw it further, that's like a double.
No,
that's a double advantage because that means that he can delay in the pocket more.
Go watch the tape.
That was the ball out, man. That was some wild science he just pulled there.
Think about it.
I get what you're saying, but I think you're mixing things that don't mix. Meaning,
no, it's everything. Because
look, when you throw it quick,
your quick release only matters if you outthrow your timing of the route. Like if you just got a quick release, but your receiver ain't open, it's not gonna make a difference.
It's not.
But you can throw your receiver open if you're good.
Yeah,
you can. And against Pac-12 competition.
And if you think about it, think about the girl that just set the record in basketball, in college basketball.
Caitlin
if you
Clark.
watch her release is so fast, it's ridiculous. It's why she can't be blocked. It's why she practices against the boys team. Because nobody can get in front of her because her release is like, it's instant. It's like, boom, it's gone. And the ball is gone. And she doesn't.
But she's thrown to a non-moving object, which is a basket. It's not a timing thing. I get what you're saying, but I feel like quarterback to receiver is more of a timing thing. Like, being quick, getting the ball out quick matters, but I don't think it's a double advantage. Though. I don't think that it doesn't work like that necessarily because I feel like if you have good accuracy, then you might not have as quick a release, but your timing can be good. You get what I'm saying?
You better have a good offensive line.
Oh, absolutely.
If you trade Caleb or you trade the pick,
we're back to that
line. So, I mean, look, the way I see it is this. Right? Your advantages with Caleb, even if that is a double advantage, where you get the ball out faster and you can throw farther. So his deep ball comes out to a net plus. First of all, Fields is one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL right now, proven, even with the rest of his struggles, even with bad receivers, even with like a terrible offensive line. He's still one of the best deep ball throwers in the NFL, proven right now, guaranteed. So I'm not giving Caleb deep ball as an advantage. That's not happening. Caleb is throwing deep balls against the Pac-12 and he misses 3 out of 5. So we're gonna put a kibosh on that one. But let's say quick release, bigger arm, right? Maybe you can outthrow a defense slightly better than Justin Fields can, right? Justin Fields doesn't try to outthrow the defense often. He mostly just tries to drop the ball in right where his receiver is at. Okay. And when he does try to outthrow the defense, like with Tyler Scott, his receivers can't catch up to it. So anyway, all I'm trying to say is with Justin, your advantages are he's a leader. He always has the respect of the people around him. He's intelligent. You know, he can digest the playbook. You know, he can understand everything that the offense coordinator is spitting at him. He's a hard worker. He has impeccable character. Those are the biggest advantages. Then his legs on the field, he can do things that literally no other human being that has ever played the sport can do. In terms of his arm, he's one of the most accurate deep ball passers in the NFL. In terms of his maturity, he has taken every sling and slight and arrow from the media, from the Bears organization itself when they tore down the team around him in his second year, in stride, never complained, always has his head down, is always working, and will never be a distraction, is only focused on winning. Those are the advantages with Justin. Is that enough, having a slightly quicker release or even a much quicker release and a slightly bigger arm? Is that enough to pass on all of the other stuff?
Well, I think it depends on what value you get for Justin, because you got to get value for him, and B, does Poles and that team believe they can win a Super Bowl with Fields?
I think the team has spoken.
Well, I mean, when I say the team, I mean the leadership.
Because
in the end, that's it. If they don't believe,
I think Kevin Warren has spoken. I think Flus has spoken.
This is a new Bears conversation. The old Bears would throw mud on their people. Kevin Warren, Poles, they know, build them up. That's their public face. In private,
Kevin Warren was the commissioner of the Big Ten when the Big Ten went into a COVID season.
Not arguing
they
any
were
of
going to cancel it. Justin Fields led the players of the Big Ten, petitioning Kevin Warren personally to proceed with the
no argument
to do it otherwise. I don't think Kevin Warren is just saying that.
In private,
I don't think he's just saying that.
No, dude. In private, they're negotiators. In negotiating, you never ever tip your hand against your cards. In private, when it's just Warren, Cunningham, Poles, Eberflus in the room, we're going to find out if they're sitting there going, we can win with this kid. That nobody knows but them right now, and that's the way it should be.
I think Poles has said publicly, Warren has said publicly, Flus has said publicly that they're all think that they can. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not saying they're not. Right. I'm just saying.
If they say anything else, you go from a first or a second round pick for Fields.
Can I finish what I'm saying?
Yeah. To a 5.
The Falcons GM, who is just on like a podcast like last week, has said publicly he thinks he can win with Fields. Mike Tomlin has just said publicly he's a huge fan of Fields, so he thinks he can win with Fields. The Raiders brass has said publicly that they think they can win with Fields. There are multiple GMs around the league who also Fields. So it's not.
I'm going to say Fields is
the Bears organization. It's not just the players; it's people outside of the Bears organization that are like, "What are y'all doing?"
I'm not arguing with that. I'm saying, I'll say a third of the NFL would take Fields as their starting quarterback.
I say more than that.
I'm not going to go to more than that. I'm going to say a third.
I'm not going to go to more than that.
It's real. There's a lot of teams that are settled in on their starting quarterback.
He only needs one team. Nah.
I think there's probably 12 quarterbacks that are fundamentally better than Fields in terms of passing, right?
No. At this point in his career.
Hear me out. No. Hear me out.
The numbers don't show that.
There are probably, I think, 7 or 8 more teams that either are locked in by a contract or they are like they just drafted a guy who may or may not be better than Fields, but they're not going to move on from them because they're committed.
Yeah.
Right? So that puts Fields in the 18 to 20 range of.
That's bad math. No,
really?
He's got to literally on the board outperform them. When you look at the numbers, he's getting more yards per game throwing the ball than their quarterback.
Or combined rushing and throwing.
That's only if you want to. That's only if you want to play the game that not very many coaches are good at.
You realize Fields in the last since week 3 when he publicly called out Luke Getsy for being a dumbass, was 8th in the league in points per game.
I mean, let's look at let's pull the numbers and run the numbers, but I don't think
you can separate that.
Yeah, I think we just lost nephew. Let's wrap it up because we've been here a while.
Yeah, this is a long one. Yeah, it's a contentious subject. We're gonna have to come back and talk about this some more. It's a contentious subject.
We gotta come back at it. I got y'all. You don't say nothing about my new Bears shirt. Anyway,
it says Bears. I love it.
It says Bears.
I love it. Love it. Anything say Bears. Hey, we love Eddie Jackson. Obviously, I need to get a new Eddie Jackson jersey, now that he's gone. But peace, man. Appreciate it. All the great interceptions and returns and defensive plays you made for us. Cody Whitehair, same, man. He held it down. We really appreciate that. And man, we wish them the best going forward. Everybody who stuck with us for the whole episode, thank you very much. We will see you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, please. Make sure that you stay with us as we continue to cover this off season. It's a really interesting one, and man, this is the best quarterback debate we've ever had a chance to have. We have Justin Fields versus Caleb Williams, and it's not Mitch Trubisky versus Mike Glennon. This is fantastic news, and we love it. So stick with us, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the ride like we are.
All right, I'm Uncle. Nephew's gone.
And we're talking Bears.
We're talking Bears.